So I was reading the comments on a Facebook post by a foreigner who wanted to travel to Africa, and he was asking whether he could travel in camouflage pants. And there were so many comments saying, how could you even consider this, blah, blah, blah. And yes, we do have to be considerate, but give the man some kudos for actually asking the question before traveling and trying to do border crossings. Now, in most countries, if you see someone walking around in camouflage pants, you won't think anything of it. It's actually so incorporated into society that unless you really have a military demeanor, you're not really going to attract attention because of your camouflage pants. But in some instances, we may not want to actually draw attention to ourselves. And in some instances, the things that we wear and the way we act, our demeanor, the things that we carry on us, maybe the bag that you're carrying might actually allude to you having some sort of tactical background or military background, and it might actually cause you to be seen as a threat. So what I want to talk about today is the grey man principle, what that actually is, when do we use it, is it even worthwhile knowing how to be the grey man, and in what sort of instances do we employ this. I'm Clarice, welcome to the Live Ready channel. What is the grey man principle? It's got nothing to do with a grey t-shirt, but if you want to not draw attention to yourself, let's say you want to move through a certain area, whether it's an area of unrest or not, maybe you just don't want to allude to your situational awareness or your mental fortitude, or whatever your background is, and you kind of just want to blend into the crowd. Then what you would do is you would remove anything from yourself that would create a stimulus. For example, a hat with a logo and sunglasses on your hat. It's quite a picture that gets imprinted into the minds of everybody in the surroundings, and what you would want to do is remove everything that can create a stimulus. Now, utility wear, something like camouflage trousers, or even just this kind of utility trouser that I'm wearing at the moment, might in some people's minds allude to what your capabilities are as a person, or what even your political stance is. Somebody commented on something that I wore in one of my YouTube videos, and they said, well, that's quite a strong political statement. Not in South Africa, not in the States, but in the country that they were from, it was. So in different areas, moving through different situations and moving through different places, what you wear and your demeanor, how you carry yourself, the things that you carry on you, whether you're carrying a bag or if you are able to carry without concealing a firearm, all of those things can create a certain impression about you, and an impression is also something that is memorable. So if you want to remain concealed, it might be in your best interest to not create a stimulus. And so the grey man principle is exactly that. It's not creating a stimulus. It's removing everything from yourself that could potentially alert someone to your demeanor or that could make you memorable. So, and there are lots of things. It could be camouflage trousers, it could be a red shirt, it could be a shirt with a logo on it, it could be a hat with a logo on it. It could be just the way you carry yourself, just the way you talk. So you want to avoid any of those things. Now, if the circus is in town and there are two clowns and you walk between the two clowns, you could actually also use those two stimuli to detract from yourself. So there's a little bit of psychology that goes into this. If you are wanting to remain unnoticed, move where, and we do this in camouflage as well, we've got negative space and we've got positive space. The positive space is anything in the surroundings that would naturally draw attention. So for example, I'm sitting in a container on the top of a mountain. If anybody had to fly a drone over here, the container was immediately going to draw attention. Whereas the negative space is all of the surrounding areas around the container that otherwise would not actually draw attention. So you can use the same principle if you're moving through an urban area. If there is a stimulus somewhere, like let's say there's a violinist or there's a band or somebody is throwing a tantrum to a shop attendant or something like that, if you let the attention be drawn to that and you move in that negative space where all the other people just blend and flow, the attention can be drawn to that. So Gray Man principle is not just what you wear, it's not even just the way you carry yourself or your demeanor. It's also being aware of the things that happen in your surroundings and using those things to your advantage to detract from yourself. So my example of the two clowns, if you've got two clowns going and maybe one is on the one side of the wall and the other one's on this side of the wall and you're moving between them, then those two clowns are going to be drawing the attention. Everything in their direct vicinity is also going to draw attention. Everything that just moves and flows around them is going to be the negative space, which is where you want to remain if you're a Gray Man. Okay, so for example, in terms of clothing, my response to this guy was stick to plain clothing. Hiking wear or outdoor wear tends to be really good Gray Man clothing. It's still utility wear, it's still ripstop, it's still got some really practical features to it, but it doesn't necessarily shout, I am military. And the same goes for your vehicle. If you have a vehicle and you're moving through Africa, don't go and paint it camouflage. I know the tendency is to think camouflage is cool. I also think camouflage is cool. I don't actually own any camouflage clothing. Most of the time, I actually don't want to draw attention to myself. So if you're wearing some faded jeans, a grey t-shirt, something like a hoodie, makes you just blend into everyone else, makes you look like everyone else, that's pretty good for a start for Gray Man. Anything black, grey, neutral tones, anything that doesn't have a logo, perhaps not wearing your sunglasses on your hat because they do catch your attention. The same goes for camouflage. Anything that attracts your attention in the wilderness is what you want to stay away from. Anything that blends in, that's what you should be focusing on. And Gray Man is basically just urban camouflage. It's just blending in to what everybody else does so that you don't get noticed. So that's Gray Man clothing in a nutshell. And I mean, you can wear a hiking boot. These are hiking boots, but they're actually quite high up on my ankles, so they do actually attract attention. If I was going to try and move through an urban area without attracting attention, I'd go with jeans and a hoodie, a plain t-shirt. If I really didn't want to have my face recognized easily, then wearing a hat kind of helps, but don't make it anything that's really obvious. The way you walk, talking to people, even just stopping to look at something in particular, all of those things make you noticeable. So if you want to do an exercise in becoming the Gray Man, go and sit on a bench in a park or go and sit at a restaurant or a coffee shop. Watch the people that come by and notice the things that make them noticeable to you. What kind of attracts your attention to them? Is it the logo? Is it, something specific that they're wearing? Is it the way they walk, or was it really their camouflage pants? Was it the fact that their firearm printed underneath their shirt? All of those things can draw your attention and make you memorable. So whatever people do that catches your attention and makes them memorable to you, try not to do that. So there's a good start. If you stop and talk to someone or you ask someone something, first of all, you're immediately creating an impression on someone's mind. So avoid talking to people, avoid eye contact. And what I have found works really well, especially if I'm moving through an area that I really don't want to be questioned at, what helps is to move with confidence, not arrogance. There's a difference. Draw the line. Move with confidence. Be self-assured. Almost act as if you're walking into your workplace. You do it every day. Nothing is weird or out of the ordinary for what you're doing. And then just make sure that you don't look back. Don't look behind you. Just in your mind, say to yourself, I do this every day. This is what I'm going to do. I'm walking into this place or I'm walking out of this place. I don't want to be questioned. And 90% of the time, you actually don't get questioned. The reason for it is The way you behave already in someone's mind triggers this person is comfortable and familiar with the environment. They're doing something that they don't seem to be uncomfortable with, so they must be doing the right thing. There's a little bit of psychology that goes into it. Sometimes you might get questioned, sometimes you might get pulled over, but if most of the time you're kind of blasé about what you're doing, then I have found 90% of the time you don't get questioned. So it does actually work, and it helps to just employ the right psychology when you're the grey man as well. Just move on, move forward, don't make eye contact, don't stop, don't ask people questions, don't be loud, don't be rowdy, don't be arrogant either in your demeanor or in the way that you carry yourself. And you should actually get through whatever scenario you're moving through just fine. Whether that's a border crossing or whether it is because you're trying to enter somewhere that a lot of people are getting stopped and you just don't have the time to be stopped. Just don't let someone actually attract your attention. Just move on, keep going, keep your head down, and you should be perfectly fine. If you've enjoyed this video, remember to hit like and subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you are alerted to every time I publish a new video on the channel. And also check out my social media pages. There are plenty of them. There's a TikTok and Instagram. I also have a Patreon page, and special thanks to all of the patrons who support me on there. All of these videos are possible because of you guys. There's a lot of stuff of Hunter and I on Instagram as well. Follow us there. And until the next time, live ready.